Hello guys, Dama.82 here. Back for another tank building tutorial. This time we're going to build an actual tank. There's actually two different ways to go about doing it that I want to share with you guys. Firstly, there are two different types of turrets. There is one where the turret just kind of sits on top of the hull of the tank itself, and then the other type is where the turret is actually sunk into the hull of the tank. There are some pretty good trade-offs for both designs. The one that has the turret just sitting on top of the hull, that actually I feel offers you more protection for the vital components of the tank, but it does seem to reduce your firepower in the turret of the tank. So that's something that you should be aware of. And that'll be the first type of tank that we're going to try to build, is where we have the turret physically sitting on top of the hull itself and not set into the hull. You'll kind of get an idea of what I mean here after a bit. So first off, let's start setting up our AI. And this is just a chassis that I built. Not really a whole lot to it. Basically the same steering setup as last time. I was monkeying around with the engine, trying to see if I could squeeze a bit more efficiency out of it by adding all the radiators here, so that's why it's like that. Anyway, so then we're going to grab our local weapons controller. Actually, I think I want to put the local weapons controller about here instead. And we're going to put that right there. Okay, and we're going to probably need some detection stuff. Actually, I don't like that either. Because we'll need room for processing cards and probably a transmitter. There we go. I might come back and expand on this a bit, but anyway. So we're going to basically have the turret itself sitting like directly on top of the AI. It's going to sit on this 4-meter heavy armor beam. And we're going to go ahead and slap a spall liner on the front of this beast. Actually, I think we need to bring this bottom bit down, or at least out a little bit more further, like that. And then something more like that. Alright, let's put in the spall liner. We'll go with stone. Now, something I should have mentioned in the last video, but I managed to put it back in after the fact, that when I went to edit the video, is stone's probably one of the better spall liners to be using if you're not too worried about weight or buoyancy for that matter, and since this is a tank we don't really have to worry about it floating all that much. So you get a nice big thick block of armor on the front there. And we're just going to grab some more heavy armor and do up the sides, like so. This will help to balance the weight out a little bit more as we go, because I know it looks pretty front heavy right now. And let's go ahead and put on the side spall liner. Actually, I don't know if I want to go that high. I want to be able to leave some room for doing some aesthetic stuff to this tank later. So there are a few advantages to using a setup like this as opposed to using the tank destroyer that I built for you guys in the last video. One of the most obvious benefits is that tanks using this configuration, it'll have a turret that can traverse the whole front and back of the tank. And you don't get that option with the tank destroyers. However, if you do go with a setup like this, you can't use nearly as big a weapon as you would for another type of vehicle like a tank destroyer. You usually have to go with something pretty... I'm trying to think of a good word for this. It just won't be nearly as impressive as the kind of weapon that you can actually put onto a tank destroyer. Your space is a lot more limited because the turret usually takes up a whole hell of a lot of the craft's volume in the end. I just can't seem to find a shape that I like. Anyway, I should probably leave the whole shaping until later in this, but anyway. I think we're good on a lot of this for now. So another added benefit of this is the armoring can be a lot more effective. And by that I mean I'm trying to think of how to say this. If you have the turrets sitting on top of the tank above the actual armor of the tank, in this little 3x3 spot I got right here, you don't really have to worry about there being an internal explosion should the turret itself explode. So that's one of the benefits of building it in this style. Because if any ammo blowout does happen from the turret, it will happen outside the tank's armor. Okay, so let's do that for now. So now I'm going to try to put in a turret. And let's see here, we'll want to go with sub-object, and we'll grab the 3x3 turret block. We'll just plop it down in this 3x3 hole. There we go. And we're going to grab some more heavy armor. Oops, that's not the way I meant to go with it. Okay, try that. There we go. Like so. And like so, and like so. And let's go ahead and start throwing our advanced cannon together. Firing piece right about there. Now to figure out how big we want to make this thing, I think I'm going to go with like 400 mil. Yeah, that sounds good. Looks like a big dig, doesn't it? Anyway. Alright, so now let's add some autoloaders. Actually, to see what would be the best way to try to set this up here. And we want to go with clips like this. And let's grab our ammo input feeders. Put them in there, like so. And we want to set this up. We need to set the accuracy required first, and then we're going to set this for 400 millimeter. And I'm going to go ahead and build a shell down here for the tank. I'll probably put it right about here. Let's see, ammo controller. I think this takes 5 modules, from what I can remember. Alright. Let's put a squash head on this. Crank that up to 400 millimeter. I try to get this number as close as I can to like 400 meters a second if I can, but we're just doing this for teaching purposes, so I'm gonna try not to get too crazy with it, although I'm thinking, yeah, I think I might be able to live with that. Anyway, so that'll be our shell, and of course we're going to need a little bit of ammo to load this. And I probably can't load because I need to add some materials. That's fine. And we'll just stick a couple of storage lockers in here. Probably something like this. I need to fill them up. There we go. So another reason that that this is one of the downsides of this is you can't really put too big of an APS gun in here. as you would with the other method that I mentioned earlier, where you had the turret actually sitting on the inside of the tank. Your space to put things in here is extremely limited. Okay. 6.7 RPM, that's, yeah. It's not that great. I think I'll go with dismantling. There we go. And how are we doing on cooling? Yeah, we can take back a little bit of the cooling there. Actually, we could probably go with, yeah, we'll do it that way. We'll start with the heavy barrel, then we'll go with the heavy barrel end, and then we'll do a 6-meter barrel after that. And just to make it look a little nicer, I like to do this with the front of my barrels. I think it makes it a little nicer. There we go. Oops, that was the wrong one. Anyway, that's our turret. So let's take a few test shots with it. Okay. Not bad. Alright, so I'm going to do a time lapse to try to make this thing look a little bit nicer, and I'll bring you guys back in when I'm done. Okay, guys, here's what I got. I didn't really care for how the side armoring turned out. I think that's because I've been trying this new scheme here with the wheels set up. If I just like went back in and changed these all to like regular wheels, it would probably work a little bit nicer, but anyway. As far as I can tell, it's working correctly. So let's spawn in a tank. And we'll go with a Taipan. Okay, we have a slight problem here. Let me pause the recording. I'll get right back with you guys. Okay guys, so I had to re-Tetris things around in here just a little bit. I forgot to put in the hovercraft preset AI and here, and you can't just put it on the behaviors under the general AI menu. You have to have this card for this to work correctly. So yeah, learn from my mistake. So the tank is pretty much done, aside from some combat testing, which I thought you guys might like to see. Let's just give you a better look at what I did with the AI down here first. It should still all work. It has all the sensor data that it can get with the processing cards. I added an inter-vehicle transmitter because I don't have a whole hell of a lot of faith in how I did these rangefinders up here. Actually, that one is supposed to be something different entirely. I think I might have accidentally fudged that whenever I was doing the sensors. I probably had it on mirror mode and left it that way. But anyway, let's see if that's still got enough processing power. Yeah, that's just fine. Good. So yeah, as far as I could tell, this all works. Looks like we might have some issues going on here. Here we go. So let's have a look at the stats for this gun here. It's not exactly the best rate of fire, but a shell that big will definitely do some damage, I think. So let's do some obligatory testing with this guy and see how it performs. I usually like to test with a Taipan first. So there we go. It's getting itself into position. And it's going to maintain distance of at about 400 meters. It's just eating that. It doesn't care. It really doesn't care. Yeah, it's following the target very nicely. That seems to be absorbing the damage well. Though I do probably need to add a few things here on the inside that I completely forgot. Let's go ahead and give this a couple of repair bots. And compact repair tentacles. Because something like this would probably work in a squadron. But yeah, Hesher heat, it's not going to do a whole lot to this. Yeah, it seems like it's not having too much trouble absorbing the recoil when it fires. And that's why I try to armor about every part of this, because you can have a shell do some really nasty damage if you're not prepared for it. As a matter of fact, a shield might not go amiss on the front of this. It just does not seem to want to hit the target very well right now. But then again, it's had a pretty good chunk of its barrel sheared off too. But it is functioning correctly. Let's repair this guy back up and try a different target. Let's try a desert boa. Now, a lot of this stuff seems like it's working a little bit differently than I remember it. But I've been playing in 2.4.9 for over a year, so it's going to take some adjusting, I'm sure. Yeah, just 8 cram to the face. Doesn't care. Kept on trucking. So next time, we're going to try putting together a tank that has the turret that actually sticks down into the hull itself. Actually, that's not a bad cost for something like this. And it just eats crayons. It doesn't care. It just keeps on coming for you. Alright guys, so I guess I'll wrap it up there. I hope you all got something out of this. If you did, please let me know in the comments. Maybe a like or two would be nice. So yeah, have yourselves a hell of a day, and keep your hammer high. Later.